Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit, and in the green, welcome back to Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. It's been a long journey, but we've finally managed to get most of the Kinstone fusions done, and this will cover Stage 5's Kinstone fusions. We'll find a fair bit to do as we wander around Vale Falls. You will be able to get some of them done once you access the cloud tops, but for the most part you will find a few earlier on. You'll actually find some when you're around the graveyard area, which means that some of them will probably be accessed in a relatively anachronistic order. I've had to piece everything together as well as I did in the last ones. We will find a few things around Vale Falls as well, and the rest of them from Stage 6 and Stage 7 will wind up being covered later on. I do have a few other little things to do along the way as well, so just enjoy me trying to kill some enemies. But now we're back in business and we're finally getting the reward from the second fusion with David Jr. I can't believe it took me this long to do. Anyway, there's the mysterious shells from that. Rack those up if you need some. Make sure to do the figurine quest along the way. When we're back out at Vale Falls, Kinstone Fusion 80, which I showed earlier, will reward us with a gold Tektite. And of course I jumped off the edge because I was going exploring. So we will want to defeat the Tektite, but there's a bit of a problem with dealing with Tektites that I wound up finding out through this. It appears at the very least that gold Tektites are able to predict your movement and will generally manage to land on your head most of the time. They'll be able to time their jumps perfectly. I mean, I'm terrible at fighting them, let's be honest, but as you can see, they're not really jumping randomly. They're going exactly where I'm going. So keep your wits about you, hit it with the boomerang, and take it out as quickly as possible. To be honest, I think it's worth a bit more than 100 rupees, but I am also terrible at it. So once that's out of the way, and I think that P-hat thing blew itself up, we have a heart piece we can get for Kinstone Fusion 79. I kind of messed up the order on this one in all fairness, but it's a good top-up if you have trouble with the Tektite. Now, once you've accessed the home of the Wind Tribe, you'll be able to grab the Kinstone Fusions in here. Make sure to talk to Gregor if you haven't already, and then you can fuse it with Caprice. This is, as you can see, Kinstone Fusion 81. And this will trigger another prize down in Vale Falls, so if you like, try and take care of as many things there as possible. This just winds up netting us a blue Kinstone piece. Interesting to note, those enemies don't appear on screen when the chest is appearing. We have a couple more we can do here. There are 2 fusions with Floris and 2 with Sirok. Floris's design is kind of unfortunate because it looks like she has a monobrow. Anyway, what we will get from this is a golden rope out in the Castor Wilds. Depending on where this one winds up, you can actually wind up cheesing this fight. Basically just to wander along, get the position right, and as you can see there, I got it stuck in that little gap and it was pretty easy to deal with it. So just hack away and get some money. This one is a bit easier to deal with in all fairness. Now, second fusion with Floris. I think it's the same piece each time. So you'll have to leave the area, just go downstairs and then come back up, and you'll be able to do the fusion easily. One of the trees out in the western wood will straighten. Grab your mole mitts and head on there when you've got a bit of time. So if we can avoid the crows. And there we are, one-time dig for 300 rupees if you need a little injection of cash. This isn't a bad spot to go. It is unfortunate they don't respawn because it would make grinding a lot easier, but if you're playing the Virtual Console, pretty simple in all fairness. So before you head up to the Palace of Winds, you can talk to Sirok, and she has 2 Kinstone fusions as well. Fairly handy. Both of them, however, are located in Royal Valley, so we'll be able to duck around to those and wind up picking them up at the same time. We do have a couple of fusions in Royal Valley as well. So basically run out of here, go downstairs, and then just head back up. Probably could have cut a little bit out of that, in all fairness, but it happens. So run back and get the second fusion done. Same style of piece as well, or at least slightly different one. And as you will see, we will have the same result. Pretty much opposite corners. So make your way through Royal Valley. There's no shortcut, which is a pain in the backside. But the other one is a red Kinstone piece as well. Nothing fancy, but you might need them unless you've been collecting as avidly as I have. So you can move on out of there at any time. Now, somewhat embarrassingly, I think I actually forgot to get the sword technique here. We've done a lot of things, but you will need the flame lantern. So you'll have to at least have made it part way through the Temple of Droplets. And you can also get a Kinstone fusion with Grimblade if you come there later on. And I'm not going to be doing his over-the-top voice, in all fairness. I think I just sped through this. A waterfall will open up in Vale Falls, and we'll be heading out to that as well. All depends on what you want to do and which order you want to do them in. So talk to him again. It was about here that I realised that I didn't have the sword beam. That's the technique he'll teach. It was a little bit embarrassing, in all fairness. So Grimblade will teach us our stock standard sword beam. Swing your sword at full health, and away we go. It's a fairly basic technique that has actually appeared in quite a few games. It's not very useful in Zelda 2. It's equivalent to your sword power in the original Zelda. You get it when you have the Master Sword in A Link to the Past, and I think the level 2 sword works. It's mostly in the 2D games, with the Fierce Deity Mask and I suppose the Skyward Strike being exceptions in 3D games. Anyway, now that we've got that, apologies for messing that up, it's time to head back to Vale Falls and find out what is in that waterfall. If you know what the other fusions have been like, you'll know that this is another dojo. No heart pieces, but we will be able to talk to Splitblade and charge up the split meter a lot faster. Very, very helpful. I think there are only 6 of these guys all told, but I think it says Swiftblade has 8 brothers. It's something to do with the Swordsman newsletter, which I have not been reading. Kind of forgot about that. So when it comes to the bonus episode, I'll make sure to go through that. Now, you can also fuse with Din, Naru, and Furore. So these 3 fusions will give you Joy Butterflies. These are little perks that will improve some of your abilities, and I hit the button by accident there, sorry about that. So 2 of them are very close to each other. One of those patches is in Castor Wilds, one is in Wind Ruins, as we've seen there, and the other one is in Royal Valley. So there's a bit of backtracking. It's not really important to be able to shoot arrows faster, far as I know, but it does have its uses. So, their locations will change based on who got houses and who didn't. Under most circumstances, I think most of us are probably going to give Din and Naru houses because their powers are the most useful. Poor old Furore generally winds up missing out. Which is kind of sad because there was supposed to be a 3rd Oracle game and plenty of connectivity involved with that, but they didn't get it done. Anyway, there is our Joy Butterfly, which allows us to swim faster. That one is fairly useful, even though we're not going to get a lot of mileage out of it. Furoros, on the other hand, will let us dig faster. I put the text in the wrong spot, sorry about that, I only noticed it during rendering. And there we are, the last one pops up in Castle Wilds, so if you'd like, you can get the two that are nearby fairly quickly. Make it efficient and all that. Interestingly, even though I had found a home for Furore, she will say, maybe I'll get lucky enough to find a home, which implies that Din and Narrow are the default choices for finding a home. Mostly as references to the Oracle series. So there we are, we can dig faster. And when we're at Lake Hylia, we can go down and fuse with this guy. I think we got the last... We got one of the important fusions. Anyway, which one was... I'm just blanking out on which one number 90 was, because this is 91. Waveblade will open up a dojo in North Hyrule Field, but we will need the Great Spin Attack before we can do anything. And at this point, we have one more sword technique to go before we can use the Great Spin Attack. So, we'll just have to wait a little bit and progress with the story. So that's where it's located, but we will have to wait for a bit. Now if we head back into the Wind Ruins, we'll have to shrink down and do a bit of wandering around. We have a Kinstone fusion reward. This was one of the fusions we could do with Dampe. So we drop down here, and we get a red Kinstone piece. The first fusion we could do with Dampe opened up Gina's grave. Now, if we're heading into Western Wood, we'll be able to get some of the rewards for Gina's Kinstone fusions. 100 mysterious shells in the tree just near that entryway. In Hyrule Town, nearly said Castle Town again, we get 200 mysterious shells. So, if we head on into Minish Woods, we'll be able to grab some red potion as well, because I wanted to go and do the Picolite side quest. This will be a full heal, so it can be handy to have that along. But you will need to hand that over as part of the Picolite quest. We can also go digging and grab some rewards in here. Watch out for likes. There are two of them, bait them, and we'll just happily swing our sword until they're dead. And there's a third one. Kind of look like piles of donuts. Anyway, blue Kinstone piece and 50 rupees. Not too bad, all things considered. But when we get to Minish Village, make your way to the Barrel House. So as you can see there, we have some new Picolite. That's the blue stuff. So now talk to him again, and we will be able to hand over the red potion. We'll be doing a few side quests, as well as wrapping up the remaining Kinstone fusions. There's a small selection that will be available towards the end of the game. So we'll get those done. We'll also take a look at a certain underground passage, Mayor Hagen's little hideout. If we drop down the well, we will find one of the pathways we can use to get in there. However, we must have the flippers. There's plenty of money hidden down here as well. We will want to maneuver these rocks around. We won't be able to get through anywhere else. We have to move one at a time, and we have to push them through. If we go through all three entryways, we will be able to access a bit of extra money and find... well, a secret passageway that is hidden under the statue of Minister Potho in the school. The Molemit's Cave leads to part of Hagen's hideout, and there is, of course, the entryway in the backyard. So, okay, at the time I hadn't grabbed the Joy Butterfly. You can see that I'm digging far more slowly compared to usual. There are chests in here, but not particularly important ones, it seems. All depends on how many Kinstone pieces you have. There aren't any mysterious walls under here either. These will be made available. The last fusion in the bottle quest is available once you've actually earned the Rocks Cape. We'll get to that in due time because we're coming up on that particular dungeon. I think I'm actually messing around trying to find treasure chests and things. So yeah, just red Kinstone pieces. If you want a bit of plunder, come in and grab them. Otherwise, just dig, 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 and we will make our way to our underground passage. Those little beetles are fairly easy to take care of. More rewards and down we go. You will get a fair bit of profit, as you can see, out of doing all this, so you might want to spend a bit of money if you already haven't. You can also take the shortcut back to the well if you need to, if you've done that one first anyway. So basically we have to dig our way out. Please don't tell me I showed myself digging all the way out. I think I showed myself digging all the way out. That's a bit unfortunate, and that's a bit stupid of me. Oh well. We all make mistakes. Anyway, that's how we maneuver through that particular cave, and I have a habit of saying maneuver a lot. We can also basically just head up to Mayor Hagen's. I think that's why I kept everything in the one lot, really. Sometimes my thought processes confuse me. I am very, very sorry if you actually understand the way I think. It's kind of terrifying. Anyhow, once we can split into 3, we can move this, so we can only complete this little bit of exploration once we have cleared the Temple of Droplets and been to the Elemental Sanctuary. There is absolutely no real point in doing this unless you just want to find everything, but it adds a little bit of extra character to the whole thing, really. It's just a nice little creative touch, a good opportunity to get a bit of plunder, and adds a little extra world building that there's this underground shelter that people can navigate and use it to protect themselves from harm. It's certainly implied that Mayor Hagen would probably be the sort who runs at the first sign of trouble, so that's why he has easy access to it. And the reward for all this is 200 rupees, and we have plenty of money. Just off the cap, so we can bomb our way through everything. Remote bombs, very useful. Mysterious shell, and more money, which was a little bit disappointing to find out. So you'll have to bomb your way through this little maze. It's a bit tedious in all fairness, but we eventually get to the school. Like I said, interesting world building. Didn't get the keys with the bomb, which is a little bit sad, but then again, they're fairly maneuverable. It just takes a very long time to do this. So remote bombs will of course make it faster. If you can get your hands on those, they are an absolute blessing. And as you can see, we have made it to the school. So, as I said, nice little bit of world building shows that they are prepared to look after the kids if something happens. We can also make our way through this area and grab a few little prizes as well. There is a chest up on top of the roof, but we will have to walk around. We can't fit through that little gap, which is a bit disappointing. So once we get onto the roof, we can open that, and we can talk to the Minish there if we like. Nice little outfit, and up we go, and our prize is, drumroll please, red Kinstone piece. Not too bad, but not great for me anyway. You can access that pretty much any time, and we do have to go into the Minish Road, but that's going to come later on, because there's a heart piece we can get there only when we have the the ability to split into 4. Blah. Alright, so things pretty much wind up from here. There's a treasure chest I wanted to get to, but I couldn't find out where to go, so admittedly the last chunk of the video was me just faffing around trying to find that. I think I know where it is, and I'll be a bit annoyed that I didn't notice it if it was accurate. And I also want to point out that if you're fighting the rock choo-choos, you don't need bombs if you have the rock breaker, and you probably should have the rock breaker For some reason, I didn't think of that. Just swing your sword and you'll shatter their rock armor and you can take them out like a regular choo-choo. Anyway, with these Kinstone fusions wrapped up, we can move on to the last part of the game. We only have a small handful of fusions to go. We'll still have a little bit to do with the Rocks Cape, but otherwise everything will be fine. Thank you very much for joining me. We are nearly there. Until next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.